It's all right.
Governor, give me a chance to
Yeah.
put this up here. I have a bum cord and I can't use the malt box, so I apologize.
It's okay.
It is not tape. You didn't say it. Remember that.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I think it should just say, just a couple of words, your name and all the good stuff. Just
Good morning. Hello. You got it?
Someday we're about
Yeah,
to buy
that'll
more of a
do.
real tape recorder.
She can have 5 like you, Howie.
Well, sometimes it's necessary because things go wrong.
Yes.
Give it a shot.
All right. Well, good morning, everyone, and thank you so much for joining us. This morning, we're here at Melrose Pharmacy, which has served this community with care and creates the personal environment that makes dealing with prescriptions feel like less of a chore. I want to thank Teresa Dickinson for hosting us and the rest of your team for serving as a great example in the industry. And I want to start with a statistic. 1 in 3. That's how many Americans have foregone medication due to costs. While a staggering statistic on its own, the people behind the statistic are why we are here today. We're here for parents, grandparents, workers, seniors, and so many other Arizonans who have not been able to prioritize their health and the health of their loved ones because the cost of prescription drugs has gotten out of hand. With little to no guardrails, transparency, or accountability, vulnerable Arizonans are being exploited by pharmacy benefit managers, middlemen in our healthcare system making profits at the expense of everyday Arizonans. We need to bring it to an end. Today, I'm proud to unveil my plan to protect Arizonans from price gouging middlemen and make sure they don't have to sacrifice their health just to get by. First and foremost, my plan will create a prescription drug affordability division within the Department of Insurance and Financial Institutions. Right now, there is no state entity explicitly responsible for helping Arizonans save money on medication, despite the clear need for it. The division will also require increased transparency on the rebates that pharmacy benefit managers are supposed to be using to lower costs for Arizonans, but in many cases aren't. Right now, PBMs are on an honor system and have shown time and time again that they can't be trusted to pass the savings on to Arizonans. With increased data available, we will be able to ensure that customers are actually getting the savings. My proposal also helps safeguard taxpayer dollars by preventing pharmacy benefit managers from overcharging Medicaid through a practice commonly known as spread pricing. These companies often fill their pockets with taxpayer dollars by charging Medicaid more than they actually pay a pharmacy for a prescription. We saw this happen in Ohio, where pharmacy benefit managers overcharged $244 million in just 1 year. And I'm not going to let that happen here. I've known the gravity of having to make tough decisions in order to stay afloat financially, and I know that every penny counts when it comes to savings. I've always believed that as elected officials, we have a responsibility to make life easier for our constituents. While it's great to see some in the federal government taking this issue seriously, change is not happening fast enough. We can and we must act now. No Arizonan should have to choose between paying their rent or buying groceries and affording their prescription drugs. It's time to put an end to a system that takes advantage of Arizonans and leaves people behind. It's time to lower the cost of prescription drugs so Arizonans can afford life-saving medication and get the health care they need. And with that, I'll hand it off to Senator Birch.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you all for joining us today. I am State Senator Eva Birch, and I represent Legislative District 9, and I'm proud and excited to have the honor of sponsoring Senate Bill 1533. For years, drug companies and middlemen have engaged in aggressive price gouging, raking in massive, record-breaking profits year after year to the detriment of millions of people who need their medications to survive. As a practicing medical provider, I have seen this firsthand, and I know that for many, this is a matter of life and death. As a legislator in a state where over 1 million individuals live with chronic conditions like cancer, clotting disorders, diabetes, and heart disease that require prescription drugs for treatment and management, this kind of legislation has the potential to impact Arizonans in a really meaningful way. More than a quarter of Arizonans reported having stopped taking their prescriptions due to cost alone. This is unacceptable. No one should be forced to choose between essential medications and putting food on the table. As a mother and a healthcare professional, I know that passing this bill will not only lower the cost of living for Arizonans, but will offer so many people the financial security that they have been working towards and that they deserve. The bill does three things to put more money back in the pockets of Arizonans. It will require pharmacy benefit managers, or PBMs, to get approval from the Department of Insurance and Financial Institutions Prescription Drug Affordability Division before increasing the cost of any prescription drug beyond the rate of inflation. It will require PBMs to report quarterly on the aggregate amount received through the drug manufacturer rebates and to demonstrate how these savings will be shared with the consumer. PBMs often receive payments from drug manufacturers that offset or eliminate the cost of the drugs that they cover, and they pocket these profits, while patients and insurers see no savings. It will prohibit spread pricing, so PBMs will no longer be able to overcharge insurers for prescription drugs. And finally, it will establish the Prescription Drug Affordability Division at DIFI to enforce these provisions and identify more innovative ways to save Arizonans money on medications. It doesn't matter what your political party or your socioeconomic status is, you deserve to live with dignity and you deserve to have access to affordable prescription medications. So thank you all for joining us, and I would like to pass it over to Teresa Davidson.
Hello, my name is Teresa Dickinson, and I'm a pharmacist and the owner of Melrose Pharmacy. I have owned an independent pharmacy for over 18 years. I am here today to tell you about my experience with the PBMs and why you should care about who they are and what they are doing. I opened my pharmacy to help patients insert my problems with the PBMs right away. Every year I told myself it couldn't get worse, and every year it did. Who are the PBMs? Prescription middlemen. First designed to be payment processors, kind of like credit card processors, the idea was great. Pharmacists could bill real time and know that a prescription was covered and that what the patient's copay was, and then get paid timely for their services. Over the time, their roles have changed to enhance their profits. Now, after being allowed to be vertical integrate, they dictate what they pay pharmacies, control the formularies, own their own retail and mail order pharmacies that they steer to, own their own hospital systems, doctors' offices, and more. The top three PBMs own 80% of the market, forcing pharmacies into take it or leave it contracts in order to serve their patients. Since I opened, we have a term that independent pharmacies call PBM abuse. Here is an abbreviated list of my PBM abuses I have endured. Patients can't fill the prescriptions at my pharmacy. They're being steered into the PBM's own pharmacies, often at a higher cost. Patients have paid inflated copays. The pharmacy has been paid a lesser amount, and the PBM is recouping that amount, or this was happening, recouping that amount back from the patient's pocket instead of charging a lower price to the patient. The PBMs have gagged pharmacists into talking about their pricing schemes. Contracts have forced arbitration, diminishing the pharmacy's ability to sue them for misappropriate behavior. The contracts refer to a handbook, and then they change the handbook as they see fit. I get paid in over $10,000 of below-cost claims every month, and there's nothing I can do about it. The PBMs have forced manufacturers to raise prices so that they can give rebates, kickbacks, back to the PBMs. Some rebates are over $600 per prescription. All these overcharges increase your healthcare premiums. One PBM was recouping $27,000 for me because we put the wrong pharmacist's name on a prescription, on a transfer label. Or we can appeal, but then we're appealing to them. PBMs have created a fee called DIR fees. The money is supposed to go back into the plan to help reduce healthcare spend, but no one can follow the paper trail. I paid $300,000 in DIR fees last year. These fees are a profit center for the PBMs. They're abusive, excessive, and not being used for the purpose they were created. One PBM changed the handbook, and then they made it say that I couldn't work with outside vendors, dictating what my business practices should be. They forced me to reverse $70,000 in prescription claims of prescriptions that patients picked up, or else I'd lose my contract. There was nothing I could do about it. My pharmacy cannot endure the middlemen abuses anymore. I am barely at break even after being in business for 18 years and filling 200 prescriptions a day. Independent pharmacies are going out of business every day. What happens to the patients that rely on them? When rural pharmacies close, those patients have to travel very far to get their prescriptions. When patients don't take their prescriptions correctly, the whole healthcare system suffers. We've passed bills against the abuses, and they're still violating them because there isn't a regulatory body above them. Governor Hobbs' creation of the Prescription Drug Affordability Division is a giant step in stopping the middlemen from abusing their role in the system for their own profit. Mark my words, the Prescription Drug Affordability Division is going to save Arizonans and the healthcare system a ton of money. Thank you, Governor Hobbs, for tackling this urgent and necessary problem. Thank you. And now I hand it off to Marshall.
Good morning. My name is Marshall Militano, and I would like to thank Governor Hobbs and all those that are working so vigorously to control the cost of prescription medications. I am a retired bus driver from Deer Valley School District, and the cost of my diabetes medication that I've been managing for over 20 years was taking more than half of my Arizona State retirement. Now, that's almost criminal, I think. We should be looking at those that need prescription medications, as Governor Hobbs is, and we need to be more transparent with their charging and the cost of their medication. So, again, I thank the governor and her effort to control and maintain the cost of prescription medications. Thank you.
Yes, let's try to start with prescription related questions and we will get to others. And if you have questions for other people, please direct them at the specific person.
Yes.
Hallie, who is your
I
question?
call them PBM because of my Medicare. Please me with one question. What if the government were to tell you, here's your reasonable margin of profit, here's how much you can charge for a drug, regardless of whether your utility costs go up, whether your employment costs go up, or anything else. You seem to be blaming the PBMs and, I suppose, to a certain extent, manufacturers. Are you okay then with the state setting prices of what you can charge?
I would be okay with receiving anything above what I'm getting now. Negative doesn't work. So I will take anything I can get.
But that's not the question. The question is, are you okay with the state setting the prices you can get, whether it's more or less than even what you
If
pay?
they are reasonable prices, I am okay with taking that.
How do you
Thank
define
you.
reasonable pricing?
Over, I don't know, $10 a prescription. So, thank you. Yeah.
Other related questions?
One on topic. Governor, I wonder, some states are looking to make it easier for people to get prescriptions from Canada. Is that something that you considered in rolling out sort of this plan?
Look, I've said time and again that I'm open to any solutions that lower the cost for Arizonans, but why should Arizonans have to go out of state, let alone out of the country, to get lower to pay less for drugs when we can fix the problem right here? that's not a really realistic solution for a lot of people.
We're not talking about people traveling to Canada. We're talking about ordering it by mail. Some states allow their residents to go ahead and do that. We've got, some of the pharmacies have tried to block that here. Pharmaceutical associations try to block that here. It seems like rather than setting up a whole new bureaucracy to do this, it's really simple. If I can get my lovastatin for my cholesterol.
Well, none of what you're saying fixes the problem in that these middlemen are artificially inflating prices so that they can make a profit. They're inserting themselves between the manufacturers and the pharmacists and the customer. And that's what we're trying to crack down on and provide some accountability and transparency there.
But PBMs, if I'm ordering it from a firm in Toronto, it's outside the PBM. It solves the problem. I know that this is a good boogeyman for you, but it solves the problem. I can order directly from the pharmacy in Toronto. No?
Again, I'm willing to look at any solutions. I think this reform is a good solution for Arizona.
All right, any other prescription related before we move on? Okay, we'll just, Cameron, you can.
Yeah, so I wanted to get your thoughts on Texas right now and a few other states have kind of been united and at odds with the federal government when it comes to the border. As a border state governor, what are your thoughts in that ratio?
We gone in a different direction than Texas and some of those other states. I think we want to make sure that we're addressing the real concerns of our communities, and that's what we've been doing. We're continuing to voice our frustration with the Biden administration and talk to them how they can do better. But what Texas is doing is not the answer for Arizona.
When you say you've been making progress with the Biden administration setting the full financial reopening,
I think so, yeah. I think it's slow and not necessarily everything we want to see, but there's progress, and I'm hopeful for a congressional deal that is still in the works.
Well, Governor, that begs the question, too. You know about the impasse that's going on in the House over bipartisan legislation. I'm sure you've learned enough about it. Just your thoughts on this stalemate, and apparently one party's leadership is preventing this from going through.
Well, is anyone surprised that Congress is at a stalemate right now? No, we're not. But I, at the end of the day, I think something will get done. I think it's unconscionable that the former president is trying to hold this up on his election prospects, and we need solutions now, and I'm hopeful that will happen in the end.
Can you talk a little bit about your ESA accountability plan?
Yep.
And, what you're expecting there, and highlight some of the
Yeah, so I've long been a proponent for increasing accountability in that program, putting some guardrails on, and making sure that it doesn't continue at the out of control pace that it's at. That's going to bankrupt our budget. So our plan puts some common sense guardrails that would stop the luxury spending. Things that would make every student safe no matter where they went to school by requiring background checks for all educators in any school system, and requiring increasing eligibility requirements, like having gone to a public school for 100 days before being eligible for an ESA.
Governor, can I ask you about the U of A situation?
Uh-huh.
You had asked that John Arnold transition out of his role as CFO as quickly as possible at U of A. Is that happening as quickly as you would like to see?
They're working on that right now as far as the latest update I have. Yes.
Are you satisfied with the pace, though?
Well, if I was satisfied with the pace of all of this, then we wouldn't be in the situation we're in right now. I think that but yes, I think things are moving.
Okay, and the Board of Regents hired this consulting firm to analyze athletics and the global campus. Are you satisfied with that for now?
No, we called for a third-party audit, and that is also in the works. So I think there needs to be an overall outside look at the whole situation.
You think President Robbins needs to go?
I haven't gone that far. We're gonna let this play out.
Can you say any more about the changes in leadership you'd like to see there?
I think it's important that folks are held accountable at every level, and when you say that someone is resigning, don't try to hide the fact that they're really not. And so I just think we need to see some continued accountability.
Is that, to be specific, someone who's resigning, they're really not? You're talking about the CFO who gets to keep it.
Yeah.
her salary and do bidding or whatever.
Yeah.
Okay. What other changes do you think need to be done at the U of A? I mean, they're the land grant campus,
Mhm.
been around, priority statehood.
I think we outlined pretty clearly what we want to see in the letter I sent last Thursday.
What else? But again, you send them a letter. They're studying it. Are you happy with the progress that they're making down there?
I sent the letter less than a week ago. I'm happy that they're studying it. I hope that we can come to some resolution that inspires confidence of the public in the university and our entire university system.
Do any of the cameras have questions?
Yes. Director Horn is introducing a new education alternative to U.S. history. He's doing that in about another 30 minutes. Have you heard any advanced of this, and how do you feel about this?
I heard about it probably the same time you all did. I can say that when I talk to parents and teachers, looking for alternative history in their schools is not what they're interested in. We need to make sure we have qualified teachers in all of our kids' classrooms, that we're paying them enough to support their families, and that we're supporting our public schools so that there's real choice for all students. I don't think we need to be looking at some alternative that teaches fake history. It's not a real issue that we're hearing from folks in our schools.
Do you think you'll challenge that?
I have yet to see the details of the plan to know, but certainly we'll look at our options. We need to leave curriculum up to school boards. It's their job to set curriculum.
Have you looked at any of on that same subject? Have you looked at any of the PragerU videos?
I have not had the pleasure, no.
Barb,
That's
did you have a question?
Yes. Are you any more at liberty now, Governor, to talk about anything regarding the injured guardsmen?
So we don't have any additional information than what was released, I think yesterday or late the day before. So we know that 40 Arizona servicemen were injured. No life-threatening injuries. 3 were medically evac'd. Again, no life-threatening injuries. So we're continuing to be in close contact, and but there are no new updates from that.
Governor,
One or two others?
I wonder the Democratic lawmakers who introduced the bills this week or last week, forgive me, that would put in place your ESA reforms.
Mhm.
There's also a little line in there that says the empowerment scholarship accounts would terminate in 2032. Are you in favor of that? And why do you think that's in there now? Is it a response to lawmakers kind of going after state agencies?
Oh, I can get back to you about that specific language. I don't know the answer right now.
Let me come back to pharmacy.
Yeah.
Because we talked about the state. My wife is an ASRS retiree. She is stuck with pharmacy benefit manager because that's the way ASRS has set it up.
Mhm.
Do we need to revamp ASRS and PSPRS and the rest of them? I see the pharmacist shaking her head in approval here. But this seems to be the only things that we can do without all sorts of legislation. When are we going to fix the system for the retirees like bus drivers?
One problem at a time. You know as well as I do, this legislation faces monumental challenges, and change will